Find the derivative of x squared plus y squared squared equals 4xy squared plus 8x plus 1. Then evaluate the derivative at the point 2, negative 1. We have an implicit relation here. We have x and y related in an equation, but it's not solved for y in terms of x. And therefore, to find the derivative of y prime, we will take the derivative of both sides, indicated by a prime on both sides. The derivative of the left side will be a quantity to a power, starting with the power rule. Bring the power down, leave the inside alone, subtract 1 from the power, 2 minus 1 will be a 1, and now we multiply by the derivative of the inside to complete the chain rule. The derivative of x squared is 2x, the derivative of y squared is 2y times y prime, because it's a y term we just took the derivative of. Every time we do the derivative of a y term, we multiply by y prime due to the chain rule. On the right side, the first term is a product of 4x and y squared, so we will have the derivative of the first, derivative of 4x, which is a 4, times the second left alone, plus the first left alone, 4x, times the derivative of the y squared, which will be 2y, but because it's a y term, we get a y prime. Then we have the derivative of 8x, which is an 8, and the derivative of 1 is a 0. We want to isolate the y prime terms. We actually have 2 of them. We have one of them here, but to isolate that, we need to distribute this in first. And then we have that y prime term there. So the first thing we need to do is distribute this into here. So 2, all of this, times all of this. 2 times 2 is a 4. We have an x, and we have an x squared plus y squared to the first power. Now we want to multiply all of this with all of this. Again, a 2 times 2, which is a 4. We have a y and a y prime, and we have an x squared plus y squared to the first power. Equals to, we have 4y squared plus, we can multiply the 2 and the 4 here, 8xy, y prime, plus 8. We want to isolate the y prime terms. They want to be on one side together. So we're going to subtract this over to the left side, and we're going to subtract this term over to the right side because it does not have a y prime. So we will have 4y times y prime times x squared plus y squared minus 8x y times y prime equals to 4y squared plus 8, and then we subtract this term over there, so minus 4x times x squared plus y squared. We now want to factor out the y prime on the left side, and that will leave 4y times x squared plus y squared minus 8xy. And we will leave the right side alone. And we can now divide. So our y prime will equal to 4y squared plus 8 minus 4x times x squared plus y squared, the entire right side, and divided by what's in the square brackets on the left side, 4y times x squared plus y squared minus 8xy. We have a common factor of 4 in the numerator and denominator, So we can factor that out, and that'll leave a y squared plus 2 minus x times x squared plus y squared over 4 times y times x squared plus y squared, and then minus 2xy. And the 4's can cancel, and that reduces the derivative to smaller numbers. So we have left y squared plus 2 minus x times x squared plus y squared. And all of that divided by y times x squared plus y squared, and then minus 2xy. So there's our derivative y prime. From here we can evaluate it at the point 2 comma negative 1. That's the x, that's the y. So we're going to be plugging a 2 in for each of the x's and a negative 1 for each of the y's. So y prime will equal negative 1 squared plus 2 minus x, which is a 2, times the quantity of 2 squared plus negative 1 squared, all over negative 1 times 2 squared plus negative 1 squared, minus 2 times 2 times negative 1. So y prime will equal negative 1 squared is a 1, plus a 2, minus 2 times 2 squared is a 4, plus negative 1 squared, negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. All over negative 1 times 2 squared, again, is a 4, plus a negative 1 squared is a positive 1. And then we have a minus 2 times a 2, which is a minus 4, times a negative 1 is a positive 4. So in the numerator we have 1 plus 2, which is 3, and then minus 2 times 4 plus 1, which is a 5, all divided by negative 1 times 4 plus 1, so negative 1 times 5 plus 4. So we have 3 minus 2 times 5 is a minus 10, over negative 1 times 5 is negative 5 plus 4. The 3 minus 10 is negative 7, over negative 5 plus 4 is a negative 1. The negatives can cancel, and 7 over 1 is 7. Y prime comes out to 7.